once again, just a general info, general starting. Welcome to the July 2023 Community Ward Forum. My name's Sufyan, one of the coordinators of Cleaning for Southall and Hayes, alongside Angela Fonzo and the rest of the team. So to start off with, I would like to draw our attention to our local MP Virendra Sharma held a meeting earlier on this week. Now, me myself, the meeting was an absolute joke. Local politics in Southall's not what it used to be. Local politics in Southall is a dictatorship, in my opinion. Now, I'm 22. I stood for local elections last year, alongside a few of my colleagues. Politics is about holding the people you vote in to account. That's democracy. Virendra Sharma had published this event. He had coordinated this event. He said in his grand speech that he has called this event, but yet he was not on the panel. When somebody from the audience asked Virendra Sharma, the MP, our member of parliament, our representative, a question, "Oh, I'm not on the panel," he said. This meeting was not allowed to be recorded nor photographed. Why? Now, there was the Honourable Peter Mason there, the leader of the council. He was on the panel and he had a lot to say, but too little to say at the same time. Now, Janet was also there, and I'm pretty sure she can second me on this. It was a one-way talking shop exercise for them, in my opinion. Don't know how Jan feels, but that's how I feel. Jan, do you want to come in?
Yeah. What because I arrived about 10-15 minutes late because of the traffic trying to get there in the first place. And I thought I'd left in plenty of time. What I found quite unsettling about the whole thing was you could ask the panel questions, but they didn't give you a direct answer. I asked a council question, I asked a policing question, I asked a housing question, and the only answer I seemed to get from everybody was, "Oh well, our funds have been cut. We don't have the money to do this. We don't have the money to do that. Oh, the policing, they don't start work till this time in the day because they're either on their rest days or they haven't started yet." And I just came away from there thinking that there are no answers because they don't know how to run the place. I was quite despondent coming away from there, and I was talking to some people outside who said the same, that they felt very upset the way this town has become. They, like me, have lived in Southall all their lives, and they were just sad to see what's happening. I mean, I was sitting next to one guy, and Joe turned around and said to him, "Don't you want to ask any questions?" And he said, "I have so many questions I want to ask," but he said, "There's no point. There's no point." And I think that's how people felt in there. I mean, I don't know about you, Sufyan. There was one lady who was allowed to speak for about 10 minutes. And I don't even know what she was trying to talk about, because all she kept talking about was where she came from in this country and everything. And, we were all sitting there thinking, come on, we haven't got enough time as it is. And, but she was allowed to carry on without even asking a question.
Yeah, sorry, John, let me just come in there. So it is a talking exercise for the local MP. He says, he holds these public events, he holds these meetings because this is his duty, because we've put him in charge. That's what he said. We elected him 20 plus years ago, and he carries on getting re-elected and re-elected and re-elected. Now, Yeah, correct, Jan. There was a particular individual who was talking about how 20 years ago she came to Hounslow Council and then she wasn't happy and she started to pull out documents and give it to the speakers. We weren't even allowed near the speakers. They had the police there, and I raised the topic about the police. Now everyone knows how I feel about the police in South because they have failed me as an individual, time and time and time again. Most recently, in about April, I was held by two guys who went to my high school. So I rang the police. The police came, they were there. These guys had assaulted me. The police said, "You've got no physical marks in your body. We can't arrest them." I said, "Cool. I'll go." When somebody gets sexually assaulted, yes, it's a very different thing. Do they have physical marks in their body necessarily? No, but you've got grounds to arrest on suspicion. You can detain someone on suspicion. Now, anyway, I gave the police officer my details, and the police officer said to me, "I'll be in touch with you in the 2 working days." Today, nobody's in touch. As expected, I don't expect anything from the Metropolitan Police apart from bullshit and corruption. Mind my language, guys, but that's what it is. We have funded an organization. We pay our taxes. I pay my taxes. I pay a crap load of taxes for my age, but that's what you have to do in this country. Now, the resources aren't there with the police. Now, the NHS as well, I work for the NHS myself. I know what the funding's like. Yes, we have been cut, but we've not been cut to that level where we can't help people. That is not the case at all. We've got the funds to help people, but it's where people want to abuse the system and use and abuse the system to get medication for 7, 8, 9 months at a time and then send it. When I say back home, I mean it could be anywhere, but the system is flawed. Now, me myself has seen it on a first level basis where patients have come to me saying, I need a year supply. Yeah, it's a regular medication. I need it. I said, I can put in a request for you, but I can't guarantee anything because we're only allowed to prescribe 3 months. Now, what happens in my previous workplace, which many of you who know me at personal level know where I worked, with a particular individual, and that particular individual now has some sort of leverage in the council for whatever reason. They were prescribing until CQC got involved. And CQC then done a full sweep of it. And while CQC visited, I was not allowed to work. I was told, you're working for the other surgery. You do not speak to CQC. You do not get involved with CQC. Because they knew full well, if CQC had spoken to me, I would have told CQC, this doctor, this GP partner is like this, and this is what they're doing. I was sort of not locked in a room, but I felt like that. I was not allowed to see the CQC inspector, but little did they know, I called it in. They know this now. I sent an email, a lengthy email to CQC stating everything. A cash-only policy. GPs, correct, you can accept cash for private work, but you need to account for it. You need to declare it. It's money which the taxpayers are paying you. Yes, it's private treatment. Yes, you're doing it as an NHS building, but it's private treatment. You have to declare. Yep, it's with anything. I'm an entertainer outside of what I do on the day-to-day. I have to declare that money. Even if I take cash off my client, I have to put it into an app like QuickBooks and say I've invoiced the client for £600. I then declare it through my company. But the GPs, it's sad to say, not every GP, the GP I work for currently is absolutely amazing with what she does and what they do. because they are very well aboard and well above board when it comes to accounts, and they account for every single penny. But it's just something to bear in mind that the GPs, yes, the funding has been cut, but then what funding have they got? Because every GP, every service, every government service, NHS, the Met Police, the LFB, whatever it is, has some sort of funding. Where it goes is another question. But the Met Police don't give a flying monkey about Southall. They don't.
Can I ask who was on the panel? Because when I spoke to Joe, he told me there were 2 representatives from Peabody.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the chair was. Who was the chair?
Oh, I've forgotten his name. His name slipped my mind. I did take a picture of the.
Okay, so you don't know what organisation he came
Oh
from?
no, he was. He worked for some sort of. He worked with Sharma at some point in something, but he's done numerous number of council things, and he was chosen, as he said. He was chosen. He's luckily chosen. He felt privileged to be there.
He was. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It was. His name was Andrew Dick.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Dick.
Yeah. So you had Andrew Dick, because I got the piece of paper here. You had Andrew Dick, Peter Mason, Lisa Knight. She was chief nurse at Northwick Park Hospital and Ealing Hospital. You had Inspector Dinkesh Patel. You had Anne-Marie Fenlon. She was from Catalyst. And you had Phil Church, where he was from Peabody.
All right, so one from Peabody and the other from Catalyst. I mean, as you know, I couldn't attend the meeting because I was doing my maths course. And I think you made a good point, Sophie, about it was made very clear that participants weren't allowed to take photographs or record. But after the meeting on Twitter, I saw a photograph on Mr. Sharma's Twitter feed, and it was of people in the audience just taken from the rear. And I could see that he wasn't sitting. Yeah, let me just finish. He wasn't sitting on the panel. And I saw the back of a man whose head was slightly bald in the middle. And I thought, well, that looks like Mr. Sharma. And it reminds me of playing a game that kids play. Where's Wally? You know, there's a character called Wally in the book, and you've got to spot him in this crowd scene. I think it's disgraceful, actually, that, you know, the MP calls a meeting. He is our representative in the House of Commons, and he sits with his back to everybody in the audience, not engaging. I suspect probably what he did was it a welcome to our meeting, good evening, everybody, and then probably quickly sat down.
Read that, but that's a different point. Barely could read it. But anyway.
So no change to his usual mode of operation.
Yeah. But this is another thing we need to bear in mind coming to these meetings is Sharma isn't there for us. He's there simply to show his face, and we weren't allowed to take pictures, but there was no signs. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who else was there? I think Rashpal was there as well. Correct me if I was wrong, but I didn't see no sign. And that's what I said. I said, well, there's no signs. There was a gentleman in the audience who we all know, I'm not going to name, who runs a massive social media page in Southall, or following of well over 100,000. He said, well, it's a public meeting. But they want to play the card that, no, this is a private event, this is a private meeting. Well, it's not. Yeah. Our MP needs to be held accountable. Our representative.
He needed to be on the panel. As far as I'm concerned, he should have been engaging. He should have been responsive to any questions, because that should also shape and influence questions that he can table in Parliament and hold the national government to account. So I don't understand why he was sitting in the audience with his back to everybody.
And you know why, don't you? You know why he won't be on the panel, because when he makes these speeches, they are written by Dominic. Yeah, Dominic was there again on this evening, and if you put Virendra Sharma on a panel and you direct him a question and he talks if he talks or answers on the top of his head, he cannot string a sentence together, if you know what I mean. He doesn't know the answers.
Yeah.
You see? So
He doesn't make any attempt.
He's an MP, just a face.
Exactly.
The brain behind it.
Dominic it's Dominic that pulls his strings.
The puppet man, isn't it?
Peter, hold on, Sufyan. At the end of a meeting, the amount of times I've gone up to Dominic and said to him, well written speech, Dominic. Because we all know it's not Virendra Sharma writing all these speeches, it's Dominic.
Yeah, but he's not capable of responding to a question which isn't submitted in advance. Like I said, the meetings I've been to, it's just like, hello, welcome to my meeting. And that is basically all he is capable of saying. So, you know, I'm quite surprised actually that Peter Mason was at the meeting, because I didn't see any publicity on Eventbrite, you know, any mention of him. Yes, there was mention of, you know, the other organisations that were on the panel, but not Peter Mason. And, you know, Peter Mason is somebody who doesn't do surgeries, because of his religion. He's Jewish, doesn't do a Friday night surgery at the end of the month, the last Friday of the month. When I asked him about it, he said, oh, I observe Shabbat and I spend time with my family. And my response to that was, well, why don't you change the day of the surgery? And he never answered my question. And this was actually face to face, not by email. And, you know, he doesn't engage and, you know, pitches up at the MP's meeting. And with the greatest respect, you know, I don't want to hear from Peter Mason. This is a meeting with the MP who sits in the House of Commons. What the hell are you doing on the panel? And in actual fact, why is everybody else on the panel? You know, because at the very least, okay, to a certain degree, can accept, you know, you've got representatives from different, you know, governmental bodies and whatnot, but he should have been on the panel responding to the concerns of his constituents. Yeah, it actually reminds me of a time, let me just finish very quickly and I'll bring you in, Arja. Somebody arranged for me to see him in his surgery, which is held in an office above the Indian Workers Association in Southall Green. And it's just the strangest experience I've ever had. So it's like I was kind of like ushered in along with this individual who said, well, Sharma owes me a favour. So that's why, you know, I've managed to get you in to see him. Sharma didn't really do much talking. What I experienced was constant interruptions by the office staff, one of whom proceeded to write down on a yellow post-it Sharma's office email. I thought, I don't need that, you know, credit me with some intelligence, because you know I've been emailing back and forth trying to get an appointment. Why are you giving me his email? But it's like, you know, the office staff took over. And I contrast that with a friend who had some issues, went to see her MP, and in the room it was just her and the MP, and the MP was actually engaging direct with the constituent, my friend, and taking notes. So, you know, it's quite disconcerting. Arjan, I know you've been waiting very patiently, so please, the floor is yours.
No, remember I said to you on Twitter, I responded to you, you said, where's Wally? It's like Sharma is, you know, you got a school of fish like going together. It's like Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. Who's who? Like, you know, I could tell from that picture on Twitter, there was like a lot of like bald-headed people in the audience. He could be seen anywhere, you know. Then I thought, oh, that must be Sharma. The person sitting right directly should be Sharma. It's like playing a guessing game. It's like Finding Nemo. Where's Wally? And so yeah, I just normally I go to these meetings as well. It's just like I just didn't bother, because I know it's sometimes I just didn't feel like bothering to go. I was sat. I just felt like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, Arjan. I mean, obviously these meetings, obviously we go if we can or whatnot, but I would strongly advise you to come along to these meetings, because you know what, we need the youth there. Like, yeah, I'm still classed as the youth, but the youth really is your age group.
Yeah, yeah.
In between like 15 and 20. We need people like you there who are intelligent and who have got some sort of leverage. And when I say leverage, I mean you've got some sort of reputation because you're associated with people. So I would show because there are opportunities out there, and this is what I'll carry on saying to you. I mean, if you remember, I said to you privately,
Yeah.
these opportunities, they're there. You need to grab them while they're up because he's your MP as well.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, obviously you're not of voting age, I don't think yet, are you?
I am.
Oh, you are. So
Yeah.
The next elections, you'll be voting, and your vote matters, as does mine, as does everyone else's on this call. But it's about the new votes which are going to come in. That's what's going to sway it, as it did in the local elections this year when myself, JS Bangu, and Rashpal stood. It was the new votes which gave Labour this scare, because outside of the major parties, myself, Joe, Ray, and Rashpal were the highest voted candidates outside of any major party, and that really shook the Labour Party. If you remember, Joe, that really shook them. So it just shows you, Arjun, like these meetings are to be gone to. Like, I've been doing this coming on to 6-7 years now, and the reason I'm banging on and I carry on doing this is because we haven't got that justice yet. We're far from it. And until we get that justice, we're all still going to be here. And we need to make, because change isn't made overnight. It's not happened with anything. There's been wars for change. Yeah, there's been people who have taken their lives, whose lives have been taken to make change, to make people like yourself, myself, sit here today at the ages of gonna be 22 next week, and you yourself, like I say, about 50 years ago, we all wouldn't be sitting on this call. Not just because of technology, because it simply wouldn't happen. But ethnic minorities had a voice. Yeah, so seriously, it's something to consider, man. Like we need fresh blood. That's the saying. Yeah, so like think about it. But just moving on from Sharma's meeting, I just want to touch base.
We'll talk about it privately.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just moving on slightly from Sharma's meeting, I just want to talk about the stench is back. Has anyone else noticed?
Oh my god, the stench is awful.
Can I just
awful.
say, I'm sitting here, don't know if Jan's noticed it, because I think you might have been at work today. I've got my front room window open, and the stench right now is absolutely horrendous. It makes me feel sick, dizzy. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. It's been like this all day because the wind is from the west, and we are to the east of the 2 asphalt plants. So my money is on either Conway or Tarmac or both. So I actually tweeted about this today, and Tarmac responded saying, could you send us an email? And I thought, well, what point is that? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. Tell me about your experience and, what's happening for you otherwise.
No, so I was in Southall earlier, and yeah, it was pretty strong. It threw me back to 2018, 2019.
Can you be specific? Whereabouts were you?
I've not been out today. No, I was along towards Featherstone, so towards Old Southall.
Yeah, it's strong. It's proper strong today.
Yeah, I just got off. I went to go see someone, and yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
So it shows you that, yeah, they've said the works are over, but the damage isn't over.
Yeah. Well, on this occasion, I suspect it's one of the asphalt plants, or both of them, because of the wind direction. My home reeks like a petrol station. You know that odor you get when you're filling up your car? It's like that indoors, but really quite strong. And, you know, what do the authorities expect us to do? You know, sit indoors with windows closed? Even with the windows closed, it comes in through the trickle vents. I mean, it's rank, it's disgusting.
Yeah, but
It's not just a bad smell, but what is it doing to our health? And
yeah, but
somebody already said they went to have their asthma reviewed today. And he said to the nurse, I've had to increase the amount of times I use my asthma inhaler.
like I've heard that personally, just about asthma. I've heard that personally because I do asthma reviews and I've seen that personally. Yeah, my asthma, whenever I'm in Southall, I have to use my inhaler.
Mm.
When I'm out the area, I was out in Manchester, as I said last year, for 3 months. Hardly use my inhaler, maybe 1 to 3 months. And the inhalers now, the salbutamol inhaler, the NHS won't prescribe it as regularly. Now they're giving
Really?
other yeah, it's because it's simply not cost effective.
So
But
beautiful. Is that
that's the blue, the Ventolin.
the reliever
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the 4-star I'm on the
Is that the
Kenil.
spray one? Sorry, is that the spray? Is that the
Yeah,
spray
the
one?
blue Ventolin inhaler. I don't have one on me. Mine's upstairs, but
Yeah, is it the spray pump one.
yep.
Yeah, you know
Yeah, I
why
know
they
the one.
you know why they have stopped prescribing it? It's because of the environment. That's what I was told. The doctors now are not prescribing it because they're not environmentally friendly, because they put that gas into the air, whatever. That's what I was told by my friend, who her doctor stopped prescribing it, and they said it's not about cost, it's about
The
looking at
environment.
the environment.
But then they've got to prescribe something else, because if people are wheezing, coughing,
Like Monty
feeling
Lucas is something
breathless.
we're prescribing, but Monty Lucas is obviously a steroid. It's a tablet you take.
Mm.
It's not as effective. Your Ventolin goes straight in you, and it's
Into your lungs, yeah.
instant. A tablet needs to dissolve and go into your system.
Mm.
So I mean, but do you know what? That's NHS for you, and that's
Do you mind me
that's
asking you, Jan, because you're I assume you're at home, can you smell anything your
No,
side?
I can't today because I think the wind is going away from my house.
Oh right, okay.
So if you think I'm sitting here in my back garden, and the Conway asphalt place is literally right behind my house.
Yeah.
So the wind is coming more from a left direction.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I mean, if you were to walk down Scott's Road, you would find it really overpowering.
As I'm looking at the clouds now, it's literally coming from my left to my right. So it's actually bypassing my house today.
I feel pleased for you, because
Yeah,
you know you'd struggle
direction
to sit in your garden, unfortunately, if it was like how it is indoors for me. Arjan, you've got your hand up. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
And I could smell it last week because I went on a driving lesson, and it's my first driving lesson. So we stayed near home. So we went around like the main residential areas, going around the industrial estate. We were going near Conway and stuff, basically. And I could smell, it was such a bad smell that I asked, I almost said, can I pull over for like 5 minutes just to get like to concentrate and make sure I'm okay to drive. But and then so we kept on stopping like every few like 2 or 3 car lengths we stopped and stuff like that, because the odor was so strong. And then it's come to the point where towards the end of the test, I slipped my instructor's tire on his car because I was feeling so dizzy, and then he had to get his tire replaced as a result, and it made me feel bad because I couldn't say to him it's because of an asphalt plant.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I just couldn't
dizziness.
I just couldn't say
nausea.
to him I couldn't say it's because of an asphalt plant. I just said I'm sorry. I just had to say I'm sorry, and sorry you had to get your tire replaced, because I met him today, and I did weekly test today. We weren't really near the asphalt plant. We weren't really in Southall. We were in Isleworth doing the test around there. around like the Isleworth Witton area today. So thankfully I didn't smell it. I was fine today. But last week the stench was so strong. I felt so dizzy.
Yeah, it was bad luck, definitely bad last week. And I'm on holiday at the moment. So I've been at home for much of the time. And I find it really difficult to effectively work from home on the cash campaign and also the Emerald Square playground campaign, because I just feel sick and dizzy and it just stops me in my tracks. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I just end up wasting a lot of time. I mean, outside, it's just, I can't describe how bad it is at the moment for you to really understand. It's so strong. It's sickening. And
sorry, Ange.
Yeah.
Go on, Ange.
I was going to say yesterday, because there's a campaign now, the Emerald Square Playground campaign, and we held a play event.
Yeah.
And okay, not that many children attended, but I think my gut feeling is we're going to repeat it again a couple of times and actually again publicize it and put some laminated signs up on the fence that surrounds the playground. But also, yeah, I think I'm going to be a bit impromptu because London Play have been amazing. They've donated equipment and it's being stored at a resident's home. So so to do some more play events. But I was there for nearly 3 hours. And the smell of burning, this time it wasn't asphalt, it was kind of like a burning plastic smell. And just before I left, I spoke to one of the residents. I said, can you smell a burning smell? And they said yes. And so did Fiona from London Place. She could smell it. And apparently there's, I think, a business round the back which is burning. I don't know what.
Yeah, it was
absolutely foul.
It's near the laundromat in just down the Sussex Road. There's a little business around the back. I was on the E5 today. I was waiting for the E5 today for 20 minutes outside Featherstone Health Centre. The Featherstone Clinic or Health Centre, whatever it is. I don't really know the proper name of it. But anyway, Anyway, there's like a really strong smell, and there wasn't like anywhere for me to sit while I was waiting for the bus. It was a 20-minute wait. I had to go into South Broadway. To Toplox Estate. So I just stood there for 20 minutes. I felt so dizzy. It kind of felt like the asphalt thing that I'm smelling, because even from Greenland Crescent, sometimes I can smell it because I have my windows open. I kind of got the symptoms from what I had when I went for my first driving lesson last week.
But this was different yesterday. What I experienced, it smelled like a bonfire, as though somebody was.
That's it. That's the smell. The smell.
A bonfire smell.
Yeah,
burning plastic. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's
but another thing, Ange. Sorry. Another thing is a lot of people do this in the summer. The minute they see a bit of sun, they will start burning their letters, their rubbish in their garden. So that, I'm not justifying it, but that could be it.
This wasn't even in stuff from somebody's house. It was like behind a shop. It's like a little area. It's like a gate.
No, I know where it is. I know where that place is, because I know one of the businesses what run it's a mechanic what runs behind the building.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, sorry,
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
now we can.
I'm having problems with the internet. Okay, this is what I think it is. Okay, now if you go into the countryside after it's been raining the night before, you get a horrible smell, and it smells a bit like cabbage. That's the only thing I can put on it. Okay, smells like as if it's rotten cabbage. Okay, in the countryside. Now, what we've been smelling in Southall today, I've been home all day. What we've been smelling here is last night it rained, okay? Now, in the old gasworks, there's open earth. So when that earth is dampened with rain, and then you get spells of the sun, when that stuff is drying up, that's what this smell is. Now, remember we told you before, when we were young, we used to play in the gasworks, yeah? This is the smell is similar to when I used to say our parents used to come home in our summer holidays. They used to know that we've been in the gasworks because the smell used to come from our clothing. Yeah, this is similar. We've had it here all day today at the back of my house. Yeah, so I don't think it's anything to do with the people
Conway.
burning this, people having barbecues or burning their rubbish. Yeah, that's what I think this is. And tomorrow, if the sun comes out, you'll smell it even more because the stuff is still damp. That's what I think is. And you guys, I know I missed the 14 minutes early of the meeting, but you missed a damn good meeting. Mr. Sharma holds wonderful meetings, but he doesn't say anything himself. You can't question Mr. Sharma, or you can't. Well, he's our MP, or any of our. That's how ridiculous meetings are. You know? So I will stand by and just say that our democracy in South, or certainly, or London Borough of Ealing, is not working because we've had councillors, people complaining about councillors in Hanwell as well at Mr. Sharma's meeting. But we've been saying, and nobody's basically listening because they don't care. They've got their own private agendas, and everybody's working to their own private agendas. I think there's about 2 councillors there that evening. Sufyan, I don't know what I missed when I left. Did I miss a lot afterwards?
Not really, just him, just trying to basically get out of the hole he digged himself into by calling that meeting. Long story short. So, but yeah, that's what he does. And then when I went up to him after the meeting, and someone else went up to him and said, "Oh, Mr. Sharma, when's the next one?" He goes, "I don't know yet. I'll speak to my staff." That shows you what kind of MP he is. Yes, he's got to get permission from his staff to hold a meeting to the people who put him in power. So I've got
Shameful.
no hope in the guy. I've not had hope in him since I knew what politics was from the age of about 15. And when I've not had faith in the guy. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. My family have always, as I've said this very openly before, my family have always been Labour supporters until I stepped in. I was like, do you guys even know what's going on in our local Labour Party? And it's thanks to yourself, Joe, really, I learned so much about the corruption of the Labour Party, because when I joined them, it took them about 16 weeks because they were under special measures to actually approve me, because I had to go through about 8 different vetting checks to make sure I was a legit joiner of the party. And then they were taking my money, but I wasn't being invited to the meetings. Not that I wanted a special invite, but when other members of the Labour Party were saying to me, "Oh, how come you didn't attend the meeting?" I said, "I didn't know about the meeting. When was this meeting?" They go, "Oh, last night in Elthorne, or last night there was an event." And I said to the person who really influenced me to join the party, I said to them, "I goes, this is what politics is actually like in South." He goes to me, "It's only because you've been selected." And I said, "Right." So they've got an eye on me, because when I stood up in that hall in 2008, what was it? I think it was 2018. I stood up in front of. This was the first time I ever publicly spoke. I said, "Well, what the hell are our councillors doing?" From then, I've been on their watch list, and I ain't scared of nobody. I don't fear anybody in this area. People have tried things with me as they have with you, Joe. I don't fear nobody when I walk around. I walk around, I will go out, I'll put things on social media like I'm here. You want to find me? I'm here. They can't touch us.
Don't be afraid to speak out.
No, because it's like
because I'm sure behind the scenes they buy people's silence, and it is quite interesting to go to Sharma's meetings. there was one I attended at St John's Church, and Councillor Polly Newstub was in the audience. And obviously the chair makes a point that not everybody's going to have the opportunity to ask their questions. You know, that's the sort of safety net for the proceedings. Anyway, she stood up, asked one question, and then asked another question. I said, hang on a minute, this isn't fair. I said, there are other people in the audience waiting, and they've got their hands up, and it's not right that this councillor is allowed to ask 2 questions.
Yeah, and Mr. I think his name is Mr. Dick, his name is. He said that exactly. Not everyone's gonna get a chance to answer, but yet, it's not right the way these meetings are chaired. These meetings should be chaired by the public, I feel, because it's the public who give him that seat. I'm not saying for me to chair, I'm not saying for Angela to chair, I'm not saying for Cash to chair. I'm saying a total neutral person selected from the audience on the day to chair it if they feel comfortable. Because
the one thing I didn't like, can I just interrupt? One thing I didn't like, and I think I came in just as Joe was speaking at this meeting, and what I didn't like, what I heard was what Councillor Mason said to Joe and the wider audience, was the fact that he implied that at every single meeting that is held, public meeting, certain people from a certain group, i.e. Cash, and I think the guy from Southall, Name and Shame, that he just implied that we were there just to cause trouble.
yeah,
That's typical Mason from his own playbook. And all he will do
That's
is characterize, hold on, let me finish, characterize genuine challenge and inquiry, which we should have in a democracy. He will try to smear us as being disruptive. In the past, he has accused us of harassment. He also made that accusation in a letter that was publicised. So that's typical Peter Mason.
So sorry, let me just come into here, because he said, because we called him out when a certain somebody, I don't want to name them because they don't like to be named, said, you've blocked us on our page. Now, he said, oh, if I feel like I'm harassed, I shouldn't feel like that. I've got a right to block. Correct, you have a right to block. But then when you're called out in public, why are you all guns in the air? Because at the end of the day, Mason, you're going to watch this. I know you're going to watch this. You're going to be sitting there with your little puppets. That's what I call you guys in the Labour Party now. You're all puppets. Because at the end of the day, he says this, lift your right arm, you'll lift your right arm. He says, move over to the left, you'll move over to the left. Why? Because not because he's your leader, but because he's everything to you. Because when I said to Mason, you shocked to see me here? He goes, not really, we expected you. How did they expect me? My name wasn't on the list. My name wasn't on the list.
But that information shouldn't have been. I mean, it would be from Eventbrite, yeah, when you booked your ticket. But that information should not have been shared with the panelists. So
that's a breach of GDPR.
There's a data protection issue going on if that information was released to him as a panelist. Yeah, I mean, I've got no time for Peter Mason at all. People in Southall need to wake up and realise that he is not serving their interests. He's only serving his own interests. And all around, you can see that the town is, despite all the developments, its life is becoming worse. Now, you get to know about this by being on Twitter. And there are a couple of people who live in the blocks by the station on Merrick Road. And what they experience are youth breaking in, looning, And for those of you who are not in the know, it's filling up balloons with nitrous oxide. I don't know if you've seen those big canisters that are dumped everywhere, yeah, and then they inhale it to get a high. And they're also smoking weed, and don't know if they're urinating, hope not, but you know, being antisocial and intimidating. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure none of us would like that.
Now,
in the
just
blo-
to mention nitrous
Yeah.
oxide,
Yeah.
I don't know if many of you are aware, there was a fatality on a night of a 16-year-old guy's prom. They were all under the influence of nitrous oxide. They had rented a Lamborghini Urus. They had written off the car, and they had all died. I think one has died on the spot, and 2 others injured, and 1 guy's walked away with barely any injuries. Nitrous oxide is a high which is now illegal. It used to be the legal high, that's what because there was a loophole in the law. Now Rishi Sunak has made it illegal, and there's a valid reason too, because it gives you a high. You don't know what you're doing. It might be for a few seconds, but that few seconds, unfortunately, injured a man while just doing his job for the Royal Mail, had written off someone's car. A Lamborghini Urus is round about £250,000 or more. Yeah. It was a rental, so that rental company unfortunately has lost a lot of money. But then again, with all due respect to the rental company, what are you doing renting to a 16, 17-year-old? Yes, they might have a full license. Yes, they might be paying the insurance, but it's not common sense for a 16, 17-year-old to be driving a Lamborghini Urus, which is a big car, by the way. It's a very big car. Yeah. The engine is very, very large. The car is very wide. It's very difficult to park.
I think youth, you know, young people are getting involved in antisocial behaviour. There's my kids, right? I keep them on the straight and narrow as much as I can do. But one of them said to me, there is nothing for us to do in Southall, yeah? Fortunately, I'm able to support one of them. She does karate lessons at Dormers Wells Leisure Centre on a Saturday morning. And the guy who runs it, he's been running it for years, but that costs money. The initial outlay was quite a lot of money, even though the weekly lessons are £5 a lesson. That's modest, but you know, you need quite a bit of money up front to start, you know, that particular leisure pursuit. Now, we've lost the sports centre, which shut down. The YAC, I don't know what goes on at the YAC. You know, I speak to my kids and say, do you know what's going on at the Young Adult Centre? They haven't got a clue. I mean, that information should be communicated through their school and appear in the school newsletter and, you know, be notified during tutor time. They haven't got a Scooby. So it's no surprise you've got kids, young people just hanging around with nothing to do in particular. Now, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last year, we were doing a walkabout of the gasworks site, and there was a police, I think he was an inspector, and he was based at Hendon. I'm not even sure whether he lived at the gasworks or whether he was visiting family, but he was teaching martial arts to 2 young people. I think they might have been his cousins. They were doing it outside, which is great. Fantastic. You know, it actually helps to develop very good self-discipline as well as physical fitness. But that's great in the milder weather. Where was he training them in the winter months? He had nowhere to go in the winter months. So, you know, we are seeing a massive overdevelopment of Southall, and at the same time an increase in antisocial problems because young people do not have the facilities. And somebody shared on Twitter, there was a campaign to save the community centre, which I can't remember the name of it, Joe knows the name, the one on Merrick Road that became a marriage palace. The centre? Banqueting suite or something.
The centre.
The centre, yeah. And that used to be the community centre, and that was sold off in 2008. Right. So I think the expectation, well, people in Southall don't need a community centre. The library, which was a Carnegie library fantastic building. It might have been old, but it was spacious. You had a huge reference library upstairs that was sold, and the library was incorporated into the Dominion Centre, less than half the size, probably about a quarter of the size. And what to me is distressing is seeing in the summertime there's insufficient place inside for people to sit. I've seen parents sitting on the ground trying to do their studies. They're obviously, you know, students themselves, whilst their children, you know, are doing whatever they're doing. You know, they might be involved in an activity put on by the library staff. But, you know, we have been sold out in Southall, and I can only see it getting worse.
Even when it came to exam season, because I was tutoring in Southall Library, the librarians were saying to me, "Oh, you can't be in here every day. We need space for the students." I go, "Well, I'm a tutor. I'm gonna be here because it's a public space." They turned around and said, "No, it's not. It's a private." I said, "No, it's not. It's a public library. It's a public space." Then another issue I had with the library was there's a time restriction, obviously, on the computers, which I understand. They were saying to us, "Oh, you've got to be out within 2 hours." Whereas in Osterley Park Library, where that was on Osterley Park Road,
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah,
that was massive.
Yeah,
I remember going after school in year 4, year 5, going there. It was always full, but there was always space. Half the computers don't work in Southall Library and in the new library. They don't care. It's run down. The toilets are unsafe. There's junkies in the toilet. They might say, "Yeah, we'll give you a PC, a public order offence." I think it's if you use the toilets without being a user of the library, but they don't enforce that.
Yeah, my kids don't use the library. They'll obviously use the library at school, but not the public library.
The amount of times I've gone into the Dominion Centre, I've walked in, I've seen drunk guys, I've seen alkies, I've seen people off their nut on laughing gas or
well, actually in the centre.
Yeah,
so personally, I haven't encountered that. I mean, I've
seen it firsthand. The security, they're not security. In order to be security, you've got to hold a license. You've got to be registered by the SI authority. That caretaker ain't registered by the SI. I told them, if you touch someone and they whack you in the face and you call the police wouldn't do anything because you're not licensed.
Is he an Irish guy?
No, I'm not talking about him. Yeah, he's the caretaker. He ain't licensed either. He gets involved. And I told him, I go, "Mate, you're not security." Like I had a word with the librarian. I said to her, "Look, my uncle went in, and she's a librarian at Featherstone, by the way. You might know which librarian I'm talking about." Yeah. She had a go at my uncle saying, "Oh, you don't know how to use a printer."
Really?
So my uncle turned around and said, "You don't know how to use this printer. You're telling me to do it because you don't know." The library staff aren't trained. I'm a first-hand witness. I said to them, "I need photocopied black and white back to front." Yeah, I had exam booklets to photocopy for my students. They go, "Oh, we don't know. It's a complicated system." I said, "Well, get an instruction manual and I can read it." "Oh, we don't have it. We've not been trained." I said, "Well, your staff, yeah, can I do it myself? Can I work out?" No, you might mess it up." They spent a good half an hour photocopying one booklet. Bear in mind, I've got a student there whose parents are paying me very good money to sit there. Half the lesson's gone. I'm trying to photocopy this booklet. Yeah. And I said to the library staff, I go, "Get some serious bloody training," because even at Jubilee Gardens Library, it's obviously the same team. They just float around. There's one librarian at Jubilee Gardens who's absolutely amazing. She knows the system. She knows how to return books. And this is another thing. If you borrow a book from Southall Library and you return it within another Ealing library, which you're allowed to do, you'll be fined.
What?
I was fined £7 something for returning a book to Jubilee Gardens.
I thought you could return it to any library.
You can.
As long as,
And then I disputed it. because I went to Jubilee Gardens because obviously I work within the building. I just thought it's quicker just to drop the books off there.
Yeah.
So I went in, I asked the librarian, and the librarians, I've known her for years. She goes, yeah, of course, leave it with me, I'll scan it. She scanned it there. I had a receipt. I kept that receipt with me. I went back to Dominion Centre. I scanned my card to pay for printing. You owe us £8. So I called her over. She goes, yeah, you've not returned your book. I said to her, I have, at Jubilee Gardens. So she goes, have you got proof? I go, yeah, I've returned it. I've got no proof. She goes, where's the receipt? I go, I don't keep receipts. I don't keep a loose paper in my wallet, which has no relevance. And I said, I don't have to account for it in any sort of tax way. She goes, well, you're going to have to pay this fine, or you can't use the library. I said, well, I'm not paying it. I said, I'll dispute it. Give me a number to complain. Oh, you complain to me. I said, well, I'm complaining to you, but what do you do with the complaint? Nothing. Because you're arrogant, you're rude, and you've got a chip on your shoulder. Yeah. Because when she spoke to my uncle like that, my cousins went down there and go, if you ever speak to our dad like that, there's going to be a different sort of phone call you're going to be making, not to security. You're going to need to call the police.
Yeah. Did you say this particular librarian also works at Featherstone High School?
Featherstone, yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you off camera, off air, about my experience if it is the same person. But I'm really conscious that Arjan has been waiting. So Arjan, unmute yourself and return to the conversation.
Thank you. So going back to the antisocial behaviour, since I live at the pub, I live near Prince of Wales pub, antisocial behaviour on a Friday and Saturday night mostly is awful. It's just like shouting, and so I don't know, there's like some sort of popping noise now coming. I think this gas thing that they're inhaling is becoming a thing. It just goes on and on until about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And it's just like sometimes it goes on until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's not all the time. You gave me that what's the name of that person's email you gave me? The police officer that attended Sharma's online meeting.
Lee
Ballard.
Yeah.
So it was his email. Sent him an email. It kept popping back. The pub closes at 11, half 11, and they chuck them out at about 12 o'clock latest, which is good in a way. They make sure everybody's out by 12, so it's not really not that the pub owner's fault. People just like to hang around on Dirty Road, on the Western Road near the pub, and just be antisocial. And the emails kept on popping back, and no matter how many times I send them through my Gmail account, to keep on coming back.
Do you mean unanswered? Or does he answer them?
No, as in the message comes back saying, they cannot be sent to this person.
Oh, really?
They said it's not a valid email.
Oh, that's interesting, because when we had an issue where I live with the hand car wash, people parking along the road, queuing up, he did actually respond to that email address, obviously, that I gave to you. And he forwarded it on to somebody else who did actually go into the hand car wash. And as far as I know, the situation has improved. I've not encountered any problems
today on my driving myself. Yeah. Today on my driving lesson, there's about 2 people who parked outside in the middle of the road.
What, on Brent Road?
On Brent Road, for to go into hand car wash.
Oh, so it hasn't improved then?
Nah. So yeah, it's just.
I mean, that's the worst. I mean, I don't know who gave permission. That was the worst place to have a hand car wash.
Before, it used to be like a little mini car showroom there.
That's right. Yeah, I never had any problems. Yeah.
Even they used to park cars on the side of the road, on the junction.
See, I don't remember that. I don't remember it as being an issue in the same way as the hand car wash.
But the hand car wash is worse off, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when you got buses trying to go around the mini roundabout to go near the Gurdwara stop. It's just, they can't. They're basically stuck.
Yeah, the traffic's been bad at times. I don't know if I'm jinxing myself, but touch wood, I haven't had any issues going to Hayes and returning from Hayes. But I mean, Hayes Road is always busy.
You got the Costco, you got the Tesco, you got the Aldi, the Home
That's
Bargains.
right.
That's always going
Yeah.
to be busy. That's
Yeah.
that's something they can't really do because everybody's going to go do their shopping there. Whoever
Yeah, that's
people in
right.
Southall is going to
Yeah.
do their shopping there. There's nothing that can be done really apart from the
Well, they can finish off the road works for a start,
Mhm.
because I think they're supposed to be, from what I was told, widening the road, and there's some gas pipes that they had to
those are still
remove
there
or
and
relocate. But we were told,
because-
yeah,
I was
it's a
there,
long,
but-
it's a long old job, and got in touch with Hounslow Council, Hounslow Highways Department, and they responded. It took ages to get a response. Typical council, probably no better than Ealing, but they said and end of August they said. But I don't know really how really much wider the road's going to be there, because you've got a footpath which goes beyond the bus stop on the left hand side, and then behind the footpath you've got a grass verge, and then adjacent to the grass verge you've got warehouses which are on that same estate as Costco. So I'm not personally optimistic that the road is going to be
I'm a bit
wider.
I'm a bit confused.
I'll wait and
about
see.
that, Angela.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused about that because what is it that they're doing? Are they widening the road? Are they doing pipe work? What are they doing?
Well,
Just
that's
the
what I
roads are
was
just
told. That's what I
the
was told in
pavement.
an email, that they are widening the road there, but they had an issue with pipes which were unexpected to be found in a location where they are. But at times, as you know, the traffic is very bad, backs up all the way down Western Road to
Sometimes it goes,
the Prince of Wales. Sometimes it backs up to on Brent Road to where
do you know
the estate is. What's it called? I can't remember the name. There's a trading estate on the right hand side.
yeah.
And it takes for ages to actually get to the roundabout, and then it's you're crawling all the way to the junction where Tesco is, and then once you get past that junction the traffic just dissipates usually. So but
do you know, I just noticed that even on the junction with just Dudley Road with the main road, Western Road, people are parking on the double yellow lines there. Also had a civil one thing that Inspector Ballard did do, which I'm grateful for, is managed to speak to the council about getting a civil enforcement officer out there. He's been going around about twice a day, every day. So about, let's say, about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a civil enforcement officer from the Ealing Council coming down to the junction with Dirty Roads, walking around, and he had a look, and I met him. I just literally bumped into him. I didn't get his name, and when I said to him, "Well, what do you think's the issue?" He said, "The yellow lines aren't visible. But this whole entire road needs redoing and repainting."
Yeah, I mean, if people can't see, they're going to take advantage. Are they actually parking on Western Road itself, or parking up on the pavement?
They're coming into Dirty Road. Sometimes either park on the yellow lines or actually park on the pavement.
right by the junction. Yeah, there are definitely double yellow lines there.
Yeah, they're not painted well enough.
Yeah, people are unable, when they turn left from Western Road, that they can't get past, if there are cars and there's oncoming cars waiting to either turn right or left from.
That is such a dangerous. That is so dangerous.
They shouldn't be parked there.
That is absolutely dangerous. I mean, there's a loading bay, which makes sense to have a loading bay for a van that helps. We've got just a corner shop here on Dirty Road. That loading bay is supposed to be for them to unload their stuff. And then I've noticed the past couple of days is we got vehicles that are parking in the loading bay.
There's no, the enforcement, is not sort of robust enough, and it seems to me there is focus now and again on the Broadway, so you'll see a big swoop on the Broadway.
But I noticed,
and the local police are sort of crowing about how many tickets parking enforcement have issued. Yeah, but you should see Caxton Road. You know, people going to the Scotsman, they park up on the double yellow lines there and nobody does anything about it. So, you know, not really effective looking at other hotspots for parking contraventions across the borough. It's not just the Broadway.
Even Greenland Crescent, where I am right now, the Emerald Square side, people, I don't know what people are doing, but you know, we got something personal going on with one of our neighbours, so fair enough. I'm not going to go into detail, obviously for said reasons. But normally, this is understandable because of what my neighbours are going through. But otherwise, apart from what's going on, it's just Greenland Crescent itself is just backed up to cars parking anywhere. Sometimes people park on my driveway. My mum or dad can't park; they just have to park on the main road.
Yeah, inconsiderate.
This is in consideration. Even
people, you've got no regard.
And they're also sorry, Angela. Sorry if keep interrupting. I've got dodgy connection. But even on the junction to of Greenland Crescent Emerald Square side, people are parking on just a junction as well.
Yeah, because somebody said to me, because you know there's a CPZ on Scots Road, Johnson Street, Spencer Street and Balfour Road. Basically, it's pushing people to park in places where there isn't a CPZ. So speaking to one of the Emerald Square residents, she said people are parking who don't even live in the square. And a lot of the cars parked there don't actually belong to residents, but these are people from the surrounding streets, where there's a CPZ and they don't want to pay for a permit. Because I've had that experience initially when the CPZ was introduced where I live, because my road is not part of the CPZ. And I've noticed that Brent Road is jam-packed with cars. I mean, it was always busy with parked cars, but I think it's a lot worse. And again, it'd probably be people who are visiting Scots Road or live on Scots Road and they don't want to pay for a permit.
You know what the other problem is, Ange, and you're dead right. We're having the problem in our little cul-de-sac. At night time, we probably have about 7 vans parked around here. And even on the entrance of our road, they park on the double yellow lines right on the junction and they leave them there overnight. But by the time come 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, they move them because they know that the council will not be working and they will not give them a ticket. We had an incident the other day where I don't want to go into too much detail, but my neighbour collapsed in the road and was found an hour later.
Gosh.
So we did CPR on him. We phoned the ambulance. The ambulances had trouble getting into our road because of the double parking on the corner. And I brought this up at the meeting the other day.
Meeting, yeah.
You know that I have to admit, Councillor Anand did, when I contacted her previously about the parking on Brent Road and Tilney Road, they were coming out and giving tickets, but it just showed the other day when we had this incident down our road. Okay, they just got in, but if we had needed a fire engine, they wouldn't have been able to get in our road that night.
That's scary, because like you say, they're being obstructed of emergency services. And it could actually end up costing lives. So double yellows at any time, So we need enforcement at all times, really.
But you know what
because
it is,
it's
Ange?
an issue of life or death potentially.
I tell you what it is. It's because more and more properties are being rented out as HMOs in Brent Road, and there isn't the sufficient parking for the people that are there. It's mainly builders, and they all have these builders lorries and vans. And there's nowhere to park on Brent Road, so they park them all in Tilney Road.
But it's so dangerous, as you say, for the emergency service, but also it's going to impede your vision. If they're parked on the W lanes right on the corner, how are you supposed to see safely to turn right out of your
Absolutely.
close?
I mean, I noticed in the Virendra Sharma booklet here that I picked up the other day, he's put in here illegal parking and dangerous driving. You told us about illegal parking across the community. In addition to the PCNs issued in Hereford Road, the police service, has been targeting several other areas around the constituency. LBE civil enforcement officers have increased surveillance of illegal parking and driving around schools, which threatens student safety, and new measures have also been implemented around Brent Road and Western Road to combat queues of cars waiting for the local car wash.
Well, we're clearly not seeing the impact of that. And I'll tell you something that somebody told me, and I'm not going to name the road, but on this particular road, which is now part of the CPZ, there are businesses, and apparently the parking enforcement officer has been seen going into one of the businesses, and cars on that road by and large are not ticketed. So the allegation is there's a bit of corruption going on. And I wouldn't say the same for the pub, but you know, I think the authorities turn a blind eye because it's a business and these people are visiting, and obviously the pub needs you know, customers, but it is dangerous, you know. And you know, I don't really think much of Virendra Sharma saying, you know, we did this, that and the other. Well, no, you know, it's not robust enough. We've got all these ongoing issues, and they're not being dealt with. And it's no good just having publicity about fantastic swooping on the Broadway. And one of the things that was said, it's to do with the Get Southall moving proposals, was to, I think, put planters, you know, in that middle section, the I don't know what you call it, like a, not a verge, but you know, right in the middle, you know, to enable people to cross. And I thought, well, personally, I've never seen cars parked in the middle.
What road is it? What
yeah, kind of like the island, you know, like it's like an island in the middle of the Southall Broadway, yeah.
Oh yeah. The one
Sorry, I couldn't find a descriptive word.
Central Reservation.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you very much for that. But I mean,
it's called the Boulevard. The Boulevard.
The Boulevard. Sorry, but I mean, I personally, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I haven't seen people park on the Central Reservation. I've seen them park on the pavements. So it's no good saying, oh, we're going to do something to the Central Reservation, put plants or whatever the proposal was, if you're not dealing with people parking on the pavement. They're parking on the pavement because they want ease of access to the shops, and they're not going to be crossing the road with their bags of shopping, you know, to their car in the middle of the road. So
what about one of the
Go
on, Joe.
But Angela, if you go there at night, yeah, meet me there in the evening at 9 o'clock, and I'll show you different. Yeah.
Okay.
They park anywhere they feel like. Yeah.
Okay.
And nobody gives two hoots about it. Now, if I can just add some information, because I was speaking to the traffic wardens, as I normally do. This is the information I have from the traffic wardens. Yeah. 2-3 officers are off sick, where they've been beaten up on duty. They do not have the staff to control Southall, and also they have no body cams. It is absolute degrading the way the traffic wardens have been treated. Now, if I'm giving somebody a parking ticket and they're gonna break my nose, then I'm going to turn the other way. Come on, let's all be civilized about this. Yeah, safety is paramount. Doesn't matter who you are, they're just doing a job.
Very true.
But this is what I've been told. They don't have the staff and nobody cares about them. All right, and they feel very vulnerable. This is not the society that I want to live in. If anything, we have been let down badly. And you guys complaining about Old Southall, well, what I would do, young man, you live near Emirate Square. Now, if you just walk down the road, you come to a street called Green and Crescent or Marlborough Road. Why don't you just go and knock on the door of your councillor? That's what he's paid to do. Yeah. Stop writing emails to people because people are not listening to emails. Yeah. Go and knock on his door. Every single time you have an issue, knock on his door. It's very simple. Okay. We have to go back into old politics. And old politics was you stand in the guy's face and you explain to him the situation that you find yourself in. Okay. They're all hiding behind the emails. They're hiding behind phone calls. Nobody's answering anybody's messages. And this is a fact. When I say something, I have fact. I've had a gentleman knock on my door and say, Joe, where is our elected politician? I said, she's too busy playing around with Berkeley Group. Okay, and that's Jessel, okay? So they're not working for us.
She's not
okay?
there tomorrow, but we're going to post all our match pics on our story.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Joe. At
They're not
Sharma's
working for us.
meeting, did you, because I mean, I've written a letter on behalf of Cash to Peter Mason to ask him why Evelyn Gloyn and Councillor Jassel are on Berkeley Group's steering body in relation to, you know, community funding, can't remember the name of it now, but but also, you know, the councillors turned up to the opening of Parkside Yards. The mayor's Pride event was sponsored by Berkeley Group. There was a sporting event, again, the councillors were there on the gasworks site. And this is after he wrote to us back in 2021 saying that Berkeley Group were going to be kept at arm's length because he didn't want a relationship that privileged the property developer above the interests of residents, and that they would no longer accept sponsorship from Berkeley Group. Fast forward to 2023, and I would actually have to question, did any of that actually happen? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's like sticking two fingers up at the community. And Peter Mason and his fellow councillors will be aware, because the public health department at the council know about the research that Imperial College are doing, yeah? And potentially it could actually show up a link between the chemicals on the site and around the site and what may well be discovered in our urine and blood samples. So I think to do what they're doing, just business as usual with Berkeley Group, knowing that actually things are moving forward, that if the National Institute of Health and Care Research didn't think there was anything or any merit to what we've been saying for many years about the health impacts, then the research would not have stood a chance of being funded. So what I will do, because...
Can I ask you a quick question, Ange?
Yeah.
Who is the research funded by?
The National Institute of Health and Care Research, NIHR.
All right, I didn't catch that because my audio's gone bad for somehow, so...
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So...
But the letter, which hasn't even received, I sent it by email, and I asked these questions about all these situations where councillors and a council officer has been present, and I've not received a response yet. So I will share the letter in the public domain alongside Peter Mason's letter that he wrote to us in 2021. Let the public decide about whether he's a person of integrity and whether what has happened recently is keeping Berkeley Group at arm's length. In my books, it's not.
It's clear. It's clear from what Berkeley Group have been posting through the post to residents. It's clear that they're not at arm's length because, you know, when they opened up that Parkside Court or whatever it's called, it's clear that the councillors were there. They're definitely, it's definitely, it's evident.
Yeah, there's an organisation, I think, that is operating Parkside Yards, which used to be Berkeley Group's construction college on site. And I think it was only open for a couple of years, shut down when COVID hit, and then never reopened. So now it's in this new guise of, some kind of, community facility. But the organisation delivering arts and craft opportunities has actually received £10,000 from the Ward Forum budget. And what I would like to know, there is no public information about how community groups can apply for funding from the Ward Forum budget. And it seems to me it's probably a bit of a nod, wink, wink. You scratch my back, I scratch yours to obtain funding, because I know from a resident, he said Evening, and I don't know how to say her name, but Evening Gloyn, the community engagement manager, actually rang an organisation and said, you can apply for this funding, as soon as possible. And this is what goes on behind the scenes.
It's always been like.
Yeah. I mean, you'll remember Councillor Nand promised us funding for air quality monitoring, and then she withdrew that offer because she said, oh, you're in litigation with us. Well, we weren't. We were exploring the possibility of legal action, but we were not in litigation. And, I don't know whether these councillors think they are immune to the effects of air pollution, because, they are in a position where they could actually do something to help vulnerable residents. So they must think they are invincible.
It's as simple as this. If we're breathing it, they're breathing it. Yep. It's just their propaganda sort of thing that, there's their twisted minds that, they think they're all immune, they're like all of this, but they're actually not. They're actually breathing the bad air. They're just saying that just to show off.
Yeah.
No.
And all the money that they're getting, the allowances, allegedly backhanders, will not save them. Remember that scene in the Titanic?
Question.
Yeah.
They have no respect for the local community. It's simple as that. Okay, it's a fact. People know this, and the only way we're going to change this is with our vote. There's no other way of changing this. Selfish people will remain selfish. You can't change them. They're set in their ways. The only thing we got to do is use the vote to kick them out. And that's the power that we hold, the public at large. And we have to wake up to this fact that, this has been going on far too long in Southall, and we need change. And it doesn't help, when they make, look, I asked Peter Mason, the leader of Ealing Council, a very simple question. Even a child could answer it. Did you receive a pay rise? And he cannot answer a simple question.
Yes, and what did he say? He accused you of turning up to meetings, making allegations, and this is what I'm talking about. That is his default, to smear, to demonize us. And I think that, for me, the one positive is that other groups now in Ealing are finding out about exactly how he operates. The group that is against the development of Warren Farm as a Virendra Sharma sports stadium, so also obviously there's the Stop the Towers campaign. So across the borough there are different campaigning groups who recognise what is going on.
They're deceiving the public. Are being deceived. It's very simple. The public are being deceived. And this has been going on.
You say it's time to wake up.
I think it's a wake-up call for us, because we're the people who are suffering. Yeah. And you guys complaining about Western Road, Brent Road, you don't know what's coming down your road. You've got an application, I think, in the region of 4,000 flats in Southall. When those are completed, Southall is going to be a standstill town. We
Yeah,
ain't going nowhere with our cars.
It's
We
going
ain't
to be
going nowhere.
it's going to be that way with their ridiculous get Southall moving proposals, which are all about clogging up Southall. It's absolutely
Making
ridiculous.
Pin Street one way is a joke.
Yeah.
No,
Jan,
you
can we bring Jan
know
back
what
in? Because I think
the joke is?
Jan wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, one question I'd like to know. I mean, okay, I mean, you know my feeling on the councillors. If Councillor Anand is available, if you need to speak to her or email her, she will try and help. But Councillor Dinser, I would love to know, what does he actually do to justify the money that he gets?
Not an awful lot by the looks of it.
Because he never
mean,
turns up to any meetings.
Yeah.
You know,
The allowance is like a top up to his retirement pension. He doesn't have to do much. Turn up to a few council meetings, vote the way he's told to by Ealing Labour, sit back and relax and enjoy a nice allowance.
every meeting I have been to where he's supposed to be there, he apologizes for his absence.
They're afraid, Jan, of the residents. Don't you get it? That's why Mr. Sharma did not share the panel. They're afraid that we have some serious questions to ask and they cannot answer us. It's simple as that. They're hiding from the voter.
It's easy money though,
We-
isn't it, Joe?
Of course.
Easy
And
money.
the less come, and Jan, and the less come to the meetings, the better it is for them. They can sleep at night.
Yeah,
they have
tick box exercise.
Because they don't have a conscience.
This
And
meeting,
this is
though,
how
Joe,
sad.
was this meeting supposed to be just for Southall residents?
No, Hanwell comes under Southall. When it's an MP's meeting, Jan, there's
It's
a
the
bit
whole
of
of
Hanwell,
Yeah.
there's a bit of Hanwell which comes into Southall, and they're suffering as well. You heard them there at that day. They haven't got it any easier than us.
No.
But what I'm saying is, once you get the flats done in Park Avenue, once you get the flats done in Dominion Centre, when you got the old community centre built on, Southall's finished. Southall stands still. We're not going nowhere. So, you know, we might as well give up our jobs. Instead of Peter Mason bringing the work here, Jen, did you understand what he was trying to say? What he was saying was that we've given free hand to the developers in Southall, and now we're going to control them. Well, it's far too late. You're to blame. They started this.
They can't control the developers.
What it was, he said,
And
Peter Mason said, didn't he, that they didn't like the fact that with all these high-rise flats going up and developments, that these people are just jumping on the trains and going into London. They're not actually spending time in the town, spending their money in the town.
He's a really obviously dense individual. Then what did he think was going to happen? You know, you're bringing in people, or not him personally, but people are moving into the area. They don't have ties with the area, don't have family in the area. Yeah, their jobs are not in Southall. Yeah. So what exactly did he think was going to happen? That they would give up their work in central London, get a job at Noon Foods, go down the Broadway and spend their money? I mean, he's clearly not very bright then.
But no disrespect, Ange. What has Southall got to offer for people now?
It's nothing. It's a place for people to a bed at night. Yeah. But for us ordinary mere mortals, who are not on, you know, after salaries of the affluent, we can't afford to be jumping on the Elizabeth line that often. I went to Charing Cross Hospital, I made 2 return journeys there, One was before 9:30, the other was after 9:30.
Peak hours, and it's more
Yeah, but do you want
expensive
to
to
know?
travel.
Do you want to know? And you know, Charing Cross is
Sorry,
in Fulham, right? So still within West London. Do you want to know how much that cost? £17.30 in total. So what I'm trying to say to you, how many people on a modest income can afford to be regularly travelling to Bond Street, Oxford Street, you know, wherever on the Elizabeth line?
do you know?
Even my own child, right? She did work experience last week. She's not earning her own money. It cost her £9. I mean, fortunately, she'll get that reimbursed by the old Vic. But the point I'm trying to make is that he would have known this. So he's trying to treat everybody as though they are fools. And it justifies, because you've got these newcomers are not interested in spending their money in Southall. I mean, you see it. If you walk down the straight, you see a lot of people to and from the gasworks, you know, sometimes carrying their high-end shopping bags. You see them on the platform, either travelling into town or Heathrow. I have to say, I felt sorry for some people travelling to Heathrow, but I was going in the opposite direction to the Excel Centre, and the train was delayed, and you could see them there, you know, people who looked oriental in appearance with their suitcases, not going anywhere. So it's not the dream really that it's cracked up to be. Yeah, the Elizabeth line is a game changer, but there are times there are delays and cancellations. I was going somewhere with my daughter and she had to be there by 5 o'clock. We only just about made it because 2 trains were cancelled from Southall.
Do you know,
yeah.
just traveling to Heathrow in itself is so expensive. It's just like from Southall in itself to, let's say, Heathrow Terminal 5. Okay, all right, let's do Heathrow Terminals 2 and 3. Okay, you want to know how much that cost altogether?
Tell me.
13
That's local to us, really.
13 quid on an Oyster card. 13 quid.
That's ridiculous. That is
On
absolutely.
the Piccadilly line. If I was to travel on the bus to Hounslow West, get the bus to Piccadilly line into Hounslow to Heathrow Terminals 2 and 3. It was cheaper. It cost me £1.95 or £1.90.
On the did you say Piccadilly line?
The Piccadilly line underground.
Yeah. The Elizabeth line is quite expensive, you know. So what I'm trying to say, for people, and we know there are areas of Southall that are very poor. That's the reality. We know it. And they're not going to be travelling into town for their entertainment and meals out and whatnot. But
they're going to stay in Southall and do that.
But Southall is.
But it's not attractive.
I think it's declining, in all honesty, because as I said earlier on, my kids say what is there to do. You know, even Lidl shut down, didn't it? And that was a lifeline for people who rely
Which
on
Lidl?
public,
the one in South of Broadway.
yeah, the one near where the old police station was.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people who live in and around Lidl who are reliant upon Lidl for their supermarket shopping. So the infrastructure isn't matching the aggressive overdevelopment, because there is this expectation. I don't care what Peter Mason says, because he's trying to treat the audience like they're idiots. There is this expectation that these newcomers will be hopping on Crossrail for their leisure, for their work. You know, forget 15-minute cities. That isn't happening.
And it's just like what are the? It's not okay. TfL are advertising it, but it's just like, even like I've noticed other councils in like you know, like how Ealing Council does this propaganda get around Ealing or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, that magazine, yeah.
That propaganda, it goes straight in the bin whenever it comes to my letterbox. But in that, there should be a little like Hounslow Council. They do in their magazines like the actual like notice of like, oh, the Elizabeth line's opened, for this amount and this amount. They actually have like the fares down on how much it costs. Like literally, that's what Ealing Council should be doing. You know, getting information from outside sources, putting them in for residents.
Yeah,
That's what I think. That's what I personally think they should be doing. Is getting the outside information.
No,
Sorry.
I think they're just intent on making our lives as difficult as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's only when they travel to Southall, they're like, oh, there's the Crossrail station, and then it's just like this super loop rubbish. The 607 has become SR8. It's the same route, and it's the same bus. The buses arrive at the same time. It's just a change in number.
Yeah, but they
And it's just
removed the 427, which used to run. Was it from Uxbridge to Acton? And you know, the buses are very, very congested along the Uxbridge Road. It can be hellish at times.
Yeah, I was an example of this. Was I was on bus route 278 coming to Ruislip to change onto a 427 to go home through Merrick Road. I was standing the whole journey. So like, where can I go? Nobody. It's just awful. The decrease in frequency resulted in about, let's say, about 10 buses. 10 buses that could have been used on rush peak hours.
Yeah,
I think personally,
personally,
like one of the routes need to have specific, like just one or two or three extra buses on during the peak hours.
Oh and yeah. To make it much more attractive. But yeah,
and
I mean, I think
especially on routes like that going on the Western Road, you know. Doesn't matter. We'll just send any bus of any type out. You know that they think is suitable. Just send it out. It's just like that. And
if they go ahead with, if they give planning permission to the site that used to be Quaker Oats, and I never know whether it's Honey Puff or Sugar Puff, but you know where I mean.
Is it on
Bridge Road? If you go down Bridge Road,
go
down to the end, But if they decide it's going to be a logistics centre with lots of lorry movements, we definitely won't be going anywhere. I mean, you just have to look at Western Road at times, and that is the exit route to the A312 and M4.
Hayes, Hounslow, Windsor,
exactly. It is gridlocked at the best of times.
Featherstone.
They think it's the right location to put a logistics centre. Well, companies will soon see sense that they'll spend more time sitting in traffic, and there isn't the ease of movement, of their goods to, the warehouse and from the warehouse to customers, and they'll just move out. And there's, all sorts of, different warehouses in Feltham, easy access to the A312 and the M4, and they'll see that as being a better proposition than being stuck in Western Road, probably taking an hour to get to the A312.
But go down Merrick Road at 6 o'clock or 5:30 with a camera, and you'll see that it's gridlocked at the moment when you're coming back into Southall. Now, if I can just give you some news about what's happening at the Green Quarter. The people who've bought shared occupancy there, these are the guys who bought shares into their flats. Supposed to be nurses, key workers, I think. Is that correct, teachers?
Key workers,
yes, I was speaking there with a resident, and this is the information that I've received from them. What they're saying is that the majority of the people living there are complaining, and this is what they're complaining about. The service charges are gone sky high. So a lot of people have stopped paying their rents to the landlord, and I believe that there will be some sort of issue, a legal issue. So it's not all hunky-dory as they try to show.
Maybe they're taking, is it Catalyst or whoever, whichever housing association, to a leaseholders valuation tribunal.
It's a different
That's probably it. Yeah. So because that can be absolutely crippling. I mean, I know as a shared owner myself that you know, your ground rent and service charges can spiral astronomically. And yeah, so they probably, I would imagine, associated together to appeal whatever charges, whatever the increase is. Good luck to them. And
So it's not all hunky-dory.
yeah. But I think we should turn up whenever, as you say, we got this leaflet, didn't we? I don't know if I've got it to hand. That Berkeley group are going to be doing an open event, you know, all about.
Mine go in the bin, so I definitely don't have.
I don't know what I've done with it, but let me have a look at my calendar. I believe, could be wrong, I think it's the 21st and 22nd. So Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
Berkeley group.
But I think we should turn up. Unfortunately, I can't do the Saturday, but if anybody's around on a Friday, I would love to go along and see what it's all about. And you know, when you see the other side, because obviously, as you say, it's propaganda, and they've got this wonderful kind of like image of the high rises in a lovely sunset glow. But when you see the other side and you see what's going up behind people's gardens on Beaconsfield Road, and there's no gap really between the erection of the high rise and their garden wall, it's a real shocker, really shocking.
Angela,
that has been allowed to happen.
I've actually found out something just by going straight onto their website. The Green Quarter of homes and apartments, right, that are available in the Green Quarter, starting prices between 381 grand to 565,500. I'll send you what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. Literally, I just typed in Berkeley Group Southall. It's the first link I clicked on, and then it's
it's not priced for you, your generation.
That's what I mean.
Not unless you're going to be on a 6-figure salary. So I feel that, you know, we should pay them a visit. As I said, I'm doing a maths course, so I'm not really prepared to do it on a Saturday, I guess, because I think this is really important to me. But I could certainly pop down there on Friday and see, you know, what they are trying to hoodwink the public with.
You know, it just doesn't make sense to me, right? Just going down, they've got 2 properties of 9 complete, and it's going to take them 2 years to build the rest.
Well, they're confident, despite the increase. I mean, you know, you got to look at it in the context of. I mean, Joe might have a better idea. You know, are they actually selling these properties? Interest rates going up dramatically. It's costing a lot more.
A 1-bedroom flat
for mortgage lenders. Mortgage borrowers. You know, mortgage borrowers. It's becoming very difficult. They need sizable deposits. The market conditions are not very favourable. Joe, can you put yourself on mute?
Yeah. Am I on mute?
No, you're not, Joe.
Can you hear me? What I was going to say was, what we're forgetting is when the Minister for Housing came to Southall, don't you remember he gave them a check, or he promised them money? It was 63 or 65 million pounds. So if they get the ball rolling, it doesn't matter to them. They're not spending their own money, are they? They're spending the public purses, and this is what doesn't make sense. So it's not as if they're going to suffer. Yeah. And is it going to work out? Well, I don't know if the project is viable, tell you the truth.
I don't understand. We're going to end up with a glut of housing. As you said, Park Avenue, I think there's two can somebody mute themselves, please? There's a lot of background noise. Thank you, Rashpal. So I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, Park Avenue, I think there's two developments there. The college, half the site was sold for housing. As you say, the gas works. But obviously you've got the six flats being built, which are put on hold because the developer went bankrupt on, one of the developments is on Norwood Road. Yeah, sorry, can everybody mute themselves? I can't actually do it. And there's some background disturbance. Rashpal, can you mute yourself? Thank you. Yeah, so Rashpal, did you want to say something? Did you want to share your thoughts? Bob, do you want to share anything? I mean, we obviously welcome people, not everybody wants to participate. We understand that. And I'm just very conscious of the time. I just wanted to quickly say, last Friday, Joe and I went to Desi Radio. Yeah. Rashpal, can you just keep on mute, please? Because it is a bit distracting. Thank you. And we were there to speak about Imperial College and the second stage of the research study, which involves residents wearing a chemical sampler for a month around their neck or on their clothing, and also the requirement to provide blood and urine samples. And I thought we made a great double act. And what was really good, I think the presenter asked some very sensible questions, and that enabled us to relay to the audience why this study is so important and how they can actually participate. But I just want to say, for the benefits of people who may be watching recording when it is shared to our YouTube channel, that if you want to find out more, you can email h.walder, and that is WALDER21 at Imperial, IMPERIAL.ac.uk. So Holly, the researcher, will provide you with all the information that you need to know, answer any queries that you may have. And it really is very discreet. Nobody is going to know your results other than the researchers. When the report is being written, all the data is anonymized, so you are not identified as an individual. And the samples that you provide are discreetly handled. Holly or one of her colleagues will come and retrieve those from you. So this is quite groundbreaking for us. And, coupled with Cash being involved in collaborating with Centric Lab on a health impact assessment for Southall, because we've identified that the health impact assessment done for the gasworks was very sort of cursory, more like a tick box exercise, and left really a lot to be desired. So we're going to have a joint meeting with Gasworks Communities United on the 16th of August. And it's really getting feedback from other organisations and communities affected by gasworks developments where they live, and potentially receiving more funding to actually produce a working health impact assessment. So that's quite exciting for us. Arjan, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, it's about something different though. It's not about just the campaign thing. It's just gonna go and touch about a bit about Emerald Square. Like you saw the tweet. Like what you said earlier on about, don't know what the name of the company was that said send an email. Yeah, you know, I got an email about Emerald Square 82 Dominion from Josh saying to email him or DM him some information to help out. I mean, it's just like why they're responding now? Why did they not respond to it in the first place when we asked? Because when Coral Nesbitt, you know, that don't know what her role was, I felt like I felt like it was done on purpose, don't you think? Like the email was done late deliberately on purpose, sort of thing.
The thing is with my experience of housing associations, their engagement with customers is very poor, and really they don't want to improve our lives. So in my experience, they will come down very hard on leaseholders who get into arrears, chasing them to pay
Like
up.
you
But when
said, like you said
yeah.
in the last meeting, it's just the money. It's just all
money.
this.
But when you want repairs done or you want improvements around where you live, you know, they are very, very poor at responding. You know, we have to keep doing what we're doing. It's a good thing that we are going to be doing different play dates. And I thank my cash colleagues who've made a small donation so I can go to Sports Direct and buy a few footballs, because, you know, we know how hard it is for people who live in our community. As I said, a couple of little boys, I don't know if I did say this, but a couple of little boys were playing with my daughter's ball that I took along, and I had to take it back, or rather they were very trustworthy, and I was standing outside of a resident's house and they actually returned the ball. And I said, oh, where's your ball? And they said, oh, it's got a hole in it. Well, buying footballs these days, you know, if you're struggling to pay, if you're struggling to pay the rent, struggling to pay the gas, struggling to pay the electric, that is not going to be a priority. And beyond that, struggling to eat. I don't know if anybody's been shopping, obviously you've all been shopping. You know, the cost of shopping and buying food is absolutely astronomical. So, you know, the luxuries like, you know, play equipment for the children, you know, is put on hold. So, you know, we'll do what we can. And I think we don't stop doing what we're doing, because we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, that we're people of integrity and we actually care. We're not doing it for a pay packet.
It's because, unlike councillors, we care about the community around us. And, you know, if this is like the way we gotta go, it's the way we gotta go. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, and we're doing, you know, something that we feel morally compelled to do, as you say, to make the community better. And it's not a me, myself, and I. You know, I care about my neighbours. I care about people in Southall generally. And they're not driven by that. They're driven by what's in it for me. What contracts can I get? Is this going to open doors so I get the best seats in a restaurant? You know, how is it going to be beneficial to me and my family? We don't care about anybody else.
You know, when you
we're not welded to the concept of serving the public services. The furthest most reason from their mind why they entered politics in the first place.
Yeah, and you know, I only got into this because I like community, like community spirit. So I thought this is why I got into this, and this is why I found out about the cash campaign, is because of this. Otherwise, I would just be quiet and let Ealing Labour do what they're doing. It's because
good on you.
It's because I care about the community around me. I get along with all my neighbours, like everybody, like almost everybody. It's just like, if I'm making that much of an impact, I need to broaden that impact a bit more, if you get what I mean.
You will, you know, you will develop, you will flourish, and you know, you will build from the bottom up and become stronger. Yeah,
it's
and
just
that's
like what
how
Sophie
we developed as a campaign group. We didn't know each other before, but we're all connected because we're all united in wanting better lives for ourselves and our neighbours.
It's just like what Sufi said to me earlier on in the chat, which I'm going to talk to him about when I get a chance later. It's just like I agree with him where he says he needs people more my age to, you know, participate in the campaigns like this. That's why I felt compelled to do, because I feel like watching, like when I came across the YouTube channel and watched a few other meetings, I just noticed it was like people who are a bit older, like, not, you know, and there's no one like my age. So that's what.
But we want more young people to join in, and I think people are pretty clued up of your age. But maybe they're just kind of like preoccupied with work and getting qualifications and studying. But just, you know, not
all students are like this. Like,
yeah, but they do recognise that Sharma is not serving the needs of the community.
Every time, and I've seen it. I saw Ananda a couple of days ago again.
Oh yeah.
You know, with her bodyguards walking around Southall going towards. I say her bodyguards, and I just said what I said.
Oh, is that John Martin?
Yeah, I think
councillor for
I believe so. Norwood Green councillor.
Yeah, because he's here, there, and everywhere now, isn't he? He turned up at the SCA annual general meeting, and he's all over the place, more so than the other councillors. I've noticed. But maybe he's been groomed for a place in the cabinet. Who knows?
Yeah, and I remember one of the tweets going by from John Martin, who said, "Oh, it's best to extend the E5 to West Middlesex Hospital." But hold on, how is that practical? Like, you got to think of the practicality side of things. Like, this is what these people don't think about. It's like practical. You're saying the E5, but no, you can't extend the E5 because, one, there needs to be a bridge that needs to be opened. Two, the buses need to be the right size, which they're not. And then three, is the current buses meeting their current capacity, which they're not. But yeah, it's good to have that link, but then you need to think more like, you know, you need to think more outside the box, not just on one route. And I said to him, well,
he needs to do the journey himself and see how practical it is. And a lot of these people who you know, pontificate, you know, they don't actually travel around and see all the issues that you're talking about. Yeah, and so that brings me on nicely to our friend who was supposed to do a bus trip to show what life is like for somebody in a wheelchair.
Yes.
He was blown out by Sharma, and he's tried quite a few times to rearrange the date, and they have not bothered, his office have not bothered to reply to his emails. And I just think that's an absolute disgrace.
It's just like, now I'm going to get into contact with him again to try and see what else has been done, but I don't think anything else is going to be done.
No, it got blown out. You know, they so-called postponed it, but you know, how long's a postponement? And he's contacted his office quite a few times, and he's had no response. Yeah. But listen, I'm conscious of the time. It is now 9 o'clock. Does anybody else want to share whatever they want to share before we close the meeting?
One thing I noticed is the access to the common from over the bridge leading into Southall was blocked off. But when I went down there yesterday, I didn't see any reason as to why it was closed. They said they had a road closed sign up there, which was a bit odd. And to me, I just felt like it's just whoever did it on purpose, because they just want to put more congestion onto the Western Road. Yeah,
I have no idea. Yeah, just
it was one-way traffic coming. So traffic coming out the common was fine. Just going into the common from that junction was a bit odd. So.
Oh, what are you saying? From which road?
So as you come towards Hayes over the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where the mosque
right
is?
Yeah.
Down there. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother issue, isn't it? People parking on the pavement there, but I think. Not sure. I think that's probably under the responsibility of Hounslow Council.
No, it's Ealing Council Road.
No, the mosque, when they park adjacent to the mosque on the pavement. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I've seen it quite a few times when I'm returning from Tesco. Not during the daytime, at night time.
It's Hounslow, yeah.
Hounslow Council, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm conscious of the time. So are we ready to close the meeting and meet again next month? Obviously, date to be confirmed. As usual, I will share the link with people in the various WhatsApp groups and on social media as well. So it's been great to hear from as many of you as possible. So thanks for coming to the meeting, and see you sometime in August. Not sure when, but obviously I will communicate that. So I'm going to stop the recording now.
I was going to mention something about the